In just 43 seconds, Prince Harry went from sitting confidently in the guest chair to being thrown off Piers Morgan's show in what has become the most explosive television moment of the year. A fiery war of words escalated into a full-blown meltdown, with accusations flying, voices raised, and the Duke of Sussex finally storming off set after being called out for his constant contradictions and attacks on the very institution that gave him everything. Before we dive into this absolute train wreck, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We bring you daily videos exposing the royal family's darkest scandals. Hit that subscribe button now because you don't want to miss what's coming next. Last night's interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored was supposed to be Harry's chance to defend his latest comments about the royal family, but what unfolded was a complete disaster that left viewers stunned and social media exploding with reactions. This is how it all went down. The studio lights were blazing hot as Prince Harry walked onto the set, his expression already tense. Piers Morgan sat behind his desk with that signature look on his face, the one that tells you he's ready for battle. The cameras started rolling, and from the very first question, you could feel something was off. The air was thick with tension. "Harry, welcome to the show," Piers began, not even bothering with pleasantries. "Let's get straight to it. You've spent the last few years complaining about your family, writing books about them, doing interviews about them, making Netflix shows about them. Yet you still use your royal title. Don't you think that's a bit rich?" Harry shifted in his seat, his jaw already clenching. "Piers, I think you're missing the point entirely. I've been trying to tell my truth and share my story. That's what this is about." "Your truth?" Piers leaned forward, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Your truth seems to change depending on which TV network is paying you. Last month you said you wanted privacy. This month you're sitting here with me on international television. Which is it?" The prince's face started to redden. "That's not fair. You're twisting my words." "I'm twisting your words?" "Mate, I'm using your exact words. You stood in front of cameras and said you wanted to live a quiet life, and then you signed deals worth millions to talk about your life. You can't have it both ways." Harry's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "You've always had it out for me and my wife. This is just another hit job." "Oh, here we go." Piers threw his hands up. "Whenever someone challenges you, whenever someone asks you a legitimate question, you play the victim card. Do you know how exhausting that is to watch?" "I'm not playing any card," Harry shot back, his voice rising. "I'm calling out the hypocrisy. You sit here on your high horse judging everyone, but you've made a career out of trashing people." The host wasn't backing down. "I've made a career out of asking tough questions. You've made a career out of complaining about a family that gave you castles, security, money, a platform, everything. And what did you do? You threw it back in their faces." "You don't know what you're talking about," Harry said, his voice shaking now. "You have no idea what it's like to grow up in that system. To be trapped." "Trapped?" Piers laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. "You were trapped in palaces? Trapped with millions in the bank? Trapped with the whole world at your feet? Give me a break. There are people watching this show right now who are actually trapped. Trapped in poverty. Trapped in real dangerous situations. You were a privileged prince who got everything handed to him." Harry stood up halfway from his chair before sitting back down. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You don't listen. You don't care about the mental health struggles, the pressure, the constant invasion of privacy. The invasion of privacy that you keep inviting by doing interviews like this one." Piers wasn't letting up. "Harry, do you hear yourself? You can't cry about privacy while sitting in a television studio. You can't cry about the media while running to the media every chance you get. It's bonkers." The prince's face was now fully flushed. "You're just like the rest of them. You're part of the problem." "No, mate, you're the problem," Piers said, pointing his finger across the desk. "You left the royal family, fine. You wanted your independence, fine. But you didn't leave quietly, did you? You burned every bridge on your way out. You accused your family of racism without evidence. You trashed your father, your brother, everyone. And for what? For money? For attention? How dare you?" Harry's voice was loud now, echoing through the studio. "You don't get to talk about my family like that." "Your family?" Piers raised his eyebrows. "The same family you've been publicly destroying for years? Now they're your family again? Make up your mind." Harry was breathing heavily. "You're a bully. You've always been a bully. This whole thing is just you trying to get ratings by attacking me." I'm not attacking you. I'm questioning you. There's a difference. And if you can't handle basic questions about your own contradictions, then maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Maybe you should actually go live that private life you keep talking about. The studio crew was frozen, watching this explosion unfold. You could see the camera operators glancing at each other, unsure what to do. You know what your problem is? Harry leaned forward, his finger now pointing at Piers. You're jealous. You're jealous that I had the courage to leave a toxic situation. You're jealous that I stood up for my wife and my family. Piers actually laughed out loud at that. Jealous? Of what? Of someone who left a life of duty and service to go make millions complaining in California. Yeah, I'm absolutely green with envy. This is bullshit, Harry said, and you could hear the anger in every word. I came here thinking we could have an actual conversation, but you just want to ambush me. An ambush? I'm asking you the same questions millions of people want answered. Why do you still use your royal titles if you hate the monarchy so much? Why do you keep making money off your family's name while claiming you want nothing to do with them? These aren't gotcha questions, Harry. These are common sense questions. The prince stood up this time, fully on his feet. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. Of course you don't. Piers remained seated, his voice calm but cutting. Because when things get tough, you run away. That's what you do, isn't it? You ran away from your duties, you ran away from your family, and now you're running away from this interview. I'm not running away from anything. Harry's voice was shaking with rage. I'm refusing to be disrespected by someone like you. Someone like me? You mean someone who actually asks you difficult questions instead of lobbing softballs? Someone who doesn't worship the ground you walk on just because you were born into royalty. Harry took a step toward the desk. You need to stop. Or what? Piers stood up now too, facing him across the desk. What are you going to do, Harry? Sue me? Write another book about me? Go cry to Oprah? I'm not afraid of you. You should be afraid of the truth, Harry said, his voice low and threatening. The truth? You wouldn't know the truth if it slapped you in the face. You've told so many different versions of your story that nobody knows what's real anymore. One minute your family cut you off financially. The next minute you admit your father gave you millions. One minute you had no security. The next minute you admit you had security. Which is it? You're twisting everything. Harry was almost shouting now. You're taking things out of context. I'm reading your own words back to you. Piers picked up a stack of papers from his desk. This is from your book. This is from your Netflix show. This is from your interview with Tom Bradby. These are all your contradictions, Harry. Your own words proving you can't keep your story straight. The prince grabbed the edge of the desk. I've had enough of this. Yeah, I bet you have. Because when someone finally holds a mirror up to you, you don't like what you see, do you? Harry's hands were trembling. You're a pathetic excuse for a journalist. All you do is tear people down. All you do is play the victim while living in a mansion in Montecito. At least I work for a living. What do you do? What have you actually accomplished besides being born? That hit a nerve. Harry's face went from red to almost purple. What have I accomplished? I served my country in Afghanistan. I created the Invictus Games. I've done more charity work than you could ever dream of. And yet you left all of that behind to go make podcasts that nobody listens to and documentaries that nobody believes. You gave up real, meaningful work to become a celebrity. Congratulations. Harry slammed his hand on the desk. This interview is over. No, 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 Piers said, his voice rising to match Harry's volume. You don't get to end this interview. You came on my show. You agreed to this conversation. You don't get to run away the second someone challenges you. Watch me. Harry turned toward the exit. This is what you do, Piers called after him. This is exactly what you do. When things get uncomfortable, when someone asks you to be accountable, you run. Just like you ran from your family. Just like you ran from your responsibilities. Harry spun back around. You want to talk about responsibility? You want to talk about family? You don't know the first thing about what I've been through. You don't know what it's like to lose your mother and have the whole world watching. You don't know what it's like to be second best your entire life. Oh, here it comes. The Diana card. Every single time. Yes, what happened to your mother was tragic. Nobody denies that. But she died 26 years ago, Harry. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your own choices. You can't blame everything on childhood trauma forever. How dare you bring up my mother? Harry's voice cracked with emotion. You have no right. You bring her up in every interview. You use her memory to justify everything you do. You claim you're protecting your wife the way nobody protected your mother. But your mother didn't go on television every week complaining about the royal family. She maintained some dignity. That was it. That was the point of no return. Harry's face contorted with rage. Don't you dare talk about my mother. Don't you bloody dare. I'll talk about whatever is relevant to this conversation. And what's relevant is that you're using your mother's death as a shield against any criticism. It's manipulative. And it's wrong. Harry took several steps toward Piers, and security guards started moving closer, sensing things were about to escalate. You're a disgusting human being. You're scum. And you're a spoiled brat who's never been told no in his entire life. But I'm telling you, no, you don't get to trash your family and play the victim. No, you don't get to make millions off royal titles while pretending you want nothing to do with royalty. No, you don't get to lecture the world about privacy from your Netflix special. I'm done with you, Harry said, his voice pure venom. I'm done with this show. And I'm done with people like you. People like me? You mean people who don't bow down to you? People who treat you like a regular person instead of a prince? Yeah, I can see why that would bother you. Harry ripped off his microphone, the wire catching on his jacket before tearing free. You're everything that's wrong with the British media. You're everything I left Britain to get away from. No, mate. You left Britain because you couldn't handle the pressure. You left because when you were the popular prince, you loved the attention. But the second William got married and had kids, and you weren't the center of attention anymore. You couldn't take it. You left because you were jealous of your own brother. That's a lie, Harry screamed, and several audience members gasped. That's a complete lie, and you know it. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, everything you've done since leaving has been designed to stay in the headlines. Every interview, every book, every documentary is about keeping yourself relevant. If you really wanted privacy, you'd actually be private. Harry was now being gently held back by a producer who had rushed onto the set. Let go of me, he said to the producer before turning back to Piers. You sit here in your studio judging people's lives. But what have you ever done? What have you contributed to the world besides criticism and hate? I've been consistent, for one thing, Piers fired back. I haven't changed my story 100 times. I haven't contradicted myself in every interview. I haven't asked for privacy while seeking publicity. I know who I am. Can you say the same? Harry shook off the producer's hand. You're not even worth this. You're not worth my time. You're not worth my energy. And you're sure as hell not worth my truth. Your truth again. There's no such thing as your truth, Harry. There's just the truth. And the truth is, you're a man who had everything and threw it all away because you couldn't handle being second place. The truth is, you're burning every relationship you have for money and fame. The truth is, you're becoming irrelevant, and you know it. Go to hell, Harry said, the words sharp and final. Very princely, Piers smirked. Your grandmother would be so proud of that language. Don't you dare mention my grandmother. Don't you dare. Why? Because she actually had class? Because she actually understood duty and service? Because she never would have done what you're doing to the family she spent her entire life serving? Harry's chest was heaving with rage. This is over. I'm leaving. And you can tell your viewers that this is the last time I'll ever subject myself to this kind of harassment. Harassment? I asked you questions. If you can't handle questions, stay out of the public eye. You're a joke, Harry said, backing toward the exit. A sad, pathetic joke who needs to attack people to feel important. And you're a prince who gave up his kingdom because someone hurt your feelings. At least, I'm honest about what I am. Harry pointed one last time at Piers, his hand shaking. History will remember you as the bully you are. And history will remember you as the prince who couldn't handle being a prince. Now get out of my studio. I'm leaving your damn studio. Good. And don't come back until you're ready to have an honest conversation, instead of feeding people your victim narrative. Harry turned and stormed toward the exit, his face flushed, his fists clenched at his sides. He nearly collided with a camera operator in his rush to leave. The heavy studio door slammed behind him with a thunderous bang that echoed through the entire space. Piers stood behind his desk, straightening his jacket, looking directly into the camera. Well, there you have it, folks. Prince Harry, ladies and gentlemen. Can't handle a few tough questions. Can't handle being held accountable for his own contradictions. He wants to be treated like a normal person but runs away the second he's treated like a normal person. That's the real Harry. That's who he really is. The studio fell into stunned silence as the door continued to swing slowly on its hinges, the echo of Harry's exit still ringing in everyone's ears.